Hi everyone and welcome. I am Anthony Gamer and this is my new side series called Magic Gamer 74. In this series I'm going to be discussing all things Magic the Gathering. In a previous episode on my regular channel, Classic Gamer 74, I discussed the video games that were inspired by the Arabian Nights. And I asked some of my viewers if they would like me to discuss Magic the Gathering on my regular channel, and it was about 50-50, so I'm going to have a separate side channel here where I discuss nothing but Magic the Gathering, and then Classic Gamer 74 is going to be strictly about video games, and they won't go together unless I talk about Arena sometime. So how this is going to work is I'm going to discuss different aspects of the game Magic the Gathering. And before I start, I have a disclaimer that I would like to get out of the way first of all. Okay, the disclaimer. First off, these are my opinions that I'm giving about these various cards and combos. You may disagree with me about them, and you have the right. Who am I to give these opinions? Well, I've been playing Magic the Gathering for over 25 years, so I know the game pretty well. But that doesn't mean that I'm absolutely right, or that other cards and combos that you may like don't necessarily agree with what I say. And again, you have that right, and you can let me know about it in the comment section below. If I mention something that you feel have a strong opinion about, please let me know. I'm always willing to learn new things. I've been playing this game for many years, and you'd be surprised how much new stuff you learn all the time by playing and networking with other players. And before you use any of the cards and combos that I discuss in these episodes, please make sure and check the current errata. Sometimes the text that was written on some cards was written 20-some years ago, and it has kind of changed since then. When I read the cards that I'm going to discuss, I'm going to be reading the current errata as of right now, and this is January 2023. So if you're watching this later on, the errata itself or the wording might have changed. So please make sure that you check the errata and the current text on the cards so that you make sure that you don't end up getting confused. Then don't come after me later if it doesn't work out like I had said when I recorded this. Also, if you're going to play any sort of tournament, no matter where it is, please check the rules before you play using some of the cards or combos that I'm going to be discussing. Some cards have been banned, some have been restricted, and please, if you decide to do tournament, and I'm not talking about playing with your friends. I mean, if your friends want to restrict and ban cards, it's probably because they can't afford them or they don't have any of the cool cards that you do. But when you're playing a tournament of any kind, there are rules set in place, not only deck size, but certain cards from certain sets that aren't allowed or only allowed in 2 as opposed to 4. So please always check those rules before you start playing in a tournament. If you don't know, check online or talk to one of the judges. That's what they're there for. Next one, if you choose to use proxies. Some of the cards that I will be discussing specifically in this episode are quite valuable, and a lot of people feel kind of funny about shuffling or playing with a card that's worth hundreds and even thousands of dollars, which is very reasonable. Just recently I found out that I had been playing with and shuffling a card that was worth $800. So, best way around that is to use a proxy of some kind. Now, again, if you're playing tournament or you're playing with people that aren't your close friends, please make sure and let them know ahead of time that you are playing with proxies, and always keep the original card with you. I always carry a binder with my rare and valuable cards so I can see, look, see right here I have this original card. And remember the rule, 1 proxy per card. If you happen to have a Black Lotus, don't make 4 copies of it because that's just not cool. But anyway, again, please let people know ahead of time. It's just courteous. And some people get a little funny about proxies. And the last disclaimer is that I will leave out cards that specifically target another color. Mostly because those type of cards are something you probably would have on your sideboard. And let's face it, most of us nowadays try to keep our cards around our decks around 60 cards. So therefore, you're not going to put in cards that specifically target another color unless you know who you're playing with and the kind of decks they play. I could pretty much tell you exactly the people that I've been playing with for 20 some years. They always love to play with black. So I could probably have all my decks specifically targeting black cards. But so therefore, with that in mind, I'm not going to be discussing cards that specifically target a specific color. So just to let you know about that. So that is the disclaimer, and I will probably not use this, say this disclaimer in the beginning of every episode, but when I start a new unit, I will repeat it then just for clarity. Thank you very much. And so for our first episode of Magic Gamer 74, I'm going to discuss the Arabian Nights. This expansion set came out in 1994. And before we get into the cards, here's a little background information about the set itself.
Okay, Arabian Nights was released in December of 93 or January 94. There were 92 cards total in the set. It was the first expansion set that was specifically themed, as to where before that you had the Alpha, Beta, and Revised, which were just the basic Magic cards themselves. But this one specifically followed the Arabian Nights stories, the traditional stories that tell the tales of Jinn and Alibaba and Aladdin and all those cool stories. The complete set itself is currently priced at around $16,066. And also, when it was first in the early stages of planning, they were thinking about making it a standalone set. They even had a back for the card that was going to be different that actually said Arabian Nights. However, they were eventually convinced or simply decided to make it an expansion set for the cards themselves. They were only released in booster packs. As you can see, here is a picture of one. And the booster packs themselves nowadays usually usually go for anywhere from around $2,000 to about $4,000.
So, this episode is going to be discussing cards from the Arabian Nights that you might want to use in your decks. Now, I know some of the cards on this set are very expensive, but some of them are very useful and still can be used in modern gaming. So, without further ado, let's get into the cards.
Okay, now we're going to start off with the white cards, and the first one is Abu Jafar. This card casts for 1 white, and when Abu Jafar dies, destroy all creatures blocking or blocked by it. They can't be regenerated. Now, this card itself is quite valuable, and it is worth about $73 as of right now, but it has been reprinted quite a few times. Now, a good card to use with this card would be Lure. Just imagine putting this on your Abu Jafar and attacking your opponent and wiping out all his creatures. Nice. Alright, and next up we have Eye for an Eye. It casts for 2 white. The next time a source of your choice would deal damage to you this turn, instead that source deals that much damage to you, and Eye for an Eye deals that much damage to that source's controller. Nice. This card is worth about $46, but it has been reprinted several times. Next up we have King Suleiman. He casts for 1 colorless and 1 white. Tap to destroy target Jinn or Efrit. If you have opponents that love to play with Jinns or Efrits, and they can be quite powerful, 1 little tap of him and you wipe him out. However, just to be warned, this card is quite valuable, and it's currently worth around $223. Next up, we have Moorish Cavalry. It casts for 2 colorless and 2 white. A 3/3 trample. Gotta love trample. This card runs right around $8, but it has been reprinted. Next up, we have the instant card Piety. It casts for 2 colorless and 1 white. Blocking creatures get +0/+3 until end of turn, and this card has also been reprinted. However, it's only worth about $8. All right, next up we have Repentant Blacksmith. This creature casts for 1 colorless and 1 white. It has protection from red. It's a 1/2. This card's worth around $90. However, it also has been reprinted. And our final white card for today is Scheherazade. Just to warn you ahead of time, this card has been banned and is not legal in lots and lots of types of tournament, just to let you know. It casts for 2 white, and players play a magic subgame using their libraries as their decks. Each player who doesn't win the subgame loses half their life, rounded up. So overall, this is a card that you would play with friends as a dick move. A few years ago, this card wasn't as valuable. I paid less than $100 for it, but now it's worth about $568. All right, now let's get into the black cards. And the first one is El Hajij. I really hope I pronounced that right. I apologize if I didn't. And he casts for 1 colorless and 2 black. 1/1 creature. Whenever El Hajij deals damage, you gain that much life. So pump this creature up, attack, and gain you some life. Currently, the Arabian Nights card is worth about $50. However, it has been reprinted a few times. Okay, next up we have Guardian Beast. Now, this creature casts for 3 colorless and 1 black, and it's a 2/4. As long as Guardian Beast is untapped, non-creature artifacts you control can't be enchanted. They have indestructible, and other players can't gain control of them. Nice. This effect doesn't remove auras already attached to those artifacts. Now, unfortunately, this card's worth about $1,300, and it has not yet been reprinted. All right, next we have Jinn and Ifrit. Now, there are several Jinn and Ifrits in this set. However, some of them I would not most of them I would not recommend playing with, even though they're powerful. There are some bad side effects or prices that you pay for using the Jinn and Ifrit, which kind of happens in real life. Sometimes. Anyway, now this card casts for 1 colorless and 2 black, and it's a 3/3 flyer. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice Jinn and Ifrit unless you pay 2 black. Now, the Arabian Nights card itself is worth around $52. However, it has, like some of the other cards in this set, been reprinted at a much more cheaper price. And next up we have Cabal Ghoul. It casts for 2 colorless and 1 black. It's a 1/1 creature. At the beginning of each end step, put a +1/+1 counter on Cabal Ghoul for each creature that died this turn. So the more creatures you kill, the bigger it gets. However, this card is worth right around $135, and it has not been reprinted. And next we have the enchantment Oubliette. And again, sorry. And again, I apologize if I'm butchering any of these pronunciations. And this one casts for 1 colorless and 2 black. When Oubliette, I think that's right, enters the battlefield, target creature phases out until Oubliette leaves the battlefield. Tap that creature as it phases in this way. Nice. This card is worth right around $34, and it also has been reprinted a couple times. And next we have Sorceress Queen. This is probably my favorite and, in my opinion, the best card in the whole set. Now, she casts for 1 colorless and 2 black. Tap her. Target creature other than Sorceress Queen has base power and toughness 0/2 until end of turn. So imagine a giant creature coming to attack you. You tap her, and it simply becomes a 0/2. Really awesome. My best friend has 4 of them in every black deck he plays. The Arabian Nights print of this card is worth about around $268. However, she has been reprinted quite a few times, making her pretty affordable, and definitely a card that you should use in your black deck. All right, let's move on to the blue cards, and then we're going to call this a day. Okay. Now, a lot of the blue cards I'm not a big fan of. Some of them, you need, your opponents have to have specific colors. So there's only 2 cards from that are blue that I really like to use. And the first of them, again, is another one of my personal favorites, and that is Flying Men. This casts for 1 blue. It's a 1/1 flying creature. Pretty cool. The Arabian Nights card is worth around $20, but it has been reprinted. So this is definitely a card that I use every time I use blue. And finally, we have Old Man of the Sea. This Djinn casts for 1 colorless and 2 blue. You may choose not to untap Old Man of the Sea during your untap step. Tap him, gain control of target creature with power less than or equal to Old Man of the Sea's power for as long as Old Man of the Sea remains tapped, and that creature's power remains less than or equal to Old Man of the Sea. Nice. It's always fun to steal your opponent's creatures and use them against them. Unfortunately, this card is worth quite a bit of money. It's worth around $462 as of this video, and it has not been reprinted. In our next episode, we will continue on discussing more great cards that you might want to use from Arabian Nights.
Well, that brings this first episode of Magic Gamer 74 to a close. I really hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, give me a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to click that little bell icon you see down there so you'll be notified when I upload new episodes. Connect with me on all my social media platforms. And please check out my other videos for Classic Gamer 74, where I discuss some of my favorite video games, both from the past and the present. Well, until next time, this has been Anthony Gamer. I hope to see you all in the next episode of Magic Gamer 74. And until that time, I'll see you in the arena. Bye, everyone.